my base. So I've got 3 this way and 2 this way, being secured by a bit of string, going over, over the entire units to secure it, and then that's the base to then work with going over under each individual bit. Yeah. The material is semi-dry, so it is dropping quite a few of its bits, but it's still malleable enough to use. And now that I'm thinking about this, I might even, oh no, I'll leave the string. It's probably better I just change it to the other material so it was consistent. Quite a wide, like it's semi-stiff, the material. I have to just tighten and pull it in once I've gone round fully. Just to keep it nice and tight if I can. Also a little bit tricky because the material that I'm using, it does have kind of bumps and bits on it, so it's not smooth. It's not as smooth as, say, the other vine material that I used. So you can see here, so I've just cut these off, but these are little additional kind of bits to keep in mind whilst working. And this is going to be hard to pull tighten as well because of the bumps now that I'm thinking about it and trying it, so that will not work. Okay, I guess this might just be a looser. Oh, okay, yep, that's snapped now. So had a mishap and one of the base material, this one, has just snapped at that starting point. So I'm going to try to push it through so it's a bit more length on each side. But again, with the bumps, this is going to be tricky. And snapping again, okay. Yeah, maybe not an ideal material to use. Or I should have potentially cleaned it up before hanging it up to dry. So when I hung it up to dry, I wasn't intending to use it for this making. I was going to put it in a dried floral bouquet. But yeah, the dried, like the material, the properties of the material have changed because it is a little bit drier, and that means it was more prone to snap. But hopefully this is not going to be a good sample in terms of, it'll be a good sample in terms of learnings, but not a good sample in terms of a sample size, because it's a lot harder, or maybe I just need to get started. So you can see that it's a quite wide starting point. That's the base. I was trying to push these in closer to the unit, the base point, but because again the bumps for the other vines I just kind of pulled. So this is the current bit, which is then going in a spiral. So I just pulled this in the other prototype, but because they had smooth, kind of sheeny tubing kind of shape, it could just glide along and it would actually tighten or get closer, but that I don't think is going to be possible with this just because of the extra bumps. So we'll just have to do our best. And I always forget how sore my knees get sitting down like that. Okay, maybe it was just the starting point that was the struggle. I can actually get quite close now that I'm going to the previous work. And I might have to add in a new, this is the one that snapped. So I might have to add in a new bit of this so I can build up, and it'll be a bit longer and I can make the sample a little bit bigger if I have enough material or resources to do that, which I don't have a huge lot. Again, I didn't pick these or source these with this in mind, this making in mind. But okay, so I've finished that kind of bit of strand, so I need to add in a new bit now. So I might just, I'm gonna do it slightly differently to the last sample I did. This last sample I did, I don't think I was doing it correctly for adding in the new piece. So I'm just building from that existing place where it's finishing and just extending it with the new piece. Whereas previously, I bent the thing in half, like so, and then slotted it over the bit, and then that was then my starting point. But I'm going to try something new, seeing as how nothing seems to be working very well for this, so what's the harm? But yeah, just making sure to put it in the right slot is the existing strand. Which seems to be and then I can cut those off later and trim them down, tidy it up. Now I've got these really long pieces. So that's current looks very much like a spider's web, very open. There's definitely a lot of oh, okay, yeah, that's snap. Yeah, definitely a lot of manipulation needed. So this way of adding in a new piece is actually a little bit less clunky, which is good. That just snapped. So again, I have chosen some very questionable resources this week for making, and they are struggling, and I'm struggling because of that. So yeah, it might be best to be a bit more selective in terms of using semi-fresh materials, resources, when I do pick something to work with. And I am really realizing the impact that material choice has on the making, and how it adds value to the making, in a sense. And the value that I'm talking about here is how is being able to work kind of together, so myself and the material kind of working together, as opposed to me just enforcing my how I want it to look, which is, yeah, that hasn't worked at all even anyway. But okay, now I'm getting muddled with what is what. Go under. Okay, the basketry technique is also kind of nice, that like it's supposed to be a little bit messy, so that it has that aesthetic. So even though this is a slightly horrific sample prototype, oopsies. Okay, we may have lost another bit of material. Okay, so we lost this one and this one, so I'm just going to take them out and continue working, which again is not going very well, I may add.